Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Shifty's 49ers Talk. In this video, it's going to be my fifth installment of my power rankings in the NFL. Friendly reminder, I do a top 10 and also a bottom 3. First off, we're going to talk about my bottom 3 teams that's coming up next. To kick it off with the bottom 3 teams, we're going to have the Pittsburgh Steelers 30th overall. They're 3-6 on the year. Look, they did have a pretty decent win at home against a struggling Saints team, but still, I look at the Steelers and I'm just really not that impressed. Worst point differential in the NFL. Quarterback play was a little bit better against a decent Saints defense, but overall, I really just don't believe in the Steelers at all. Moving forward, can Kenny Pickett prove me wrong? If he can, they're going to get out of the bottom 3. Now, coming up next as the second worst team, and welcome to the bottom 3, the Las Vegas Raiders. Another just really bad loss for the Raiders. They moved to 2-7 on the year, and who would have thought that coming into this season? Really, they've just been struggling all year long, and I don't know if you guys saw Derek Carr's presser after the game. Clearly, he's not satisfied. He's really frustrated. He's disappointed in the entire team, as he should be, and they've just massively underperformed. And now we're going to move on to the worst team in the league, and that's going to be the Houston Texans. They're 1-7-1 on the year. They just lost to the New York Giants, and here's the thing with the Texans, keeping track of that game throughout the entire game, they just found new and creative ways to lose the game, turning the ball over in the red zone, just really not disciplined, and outside of Dameon Pierce, not really able to do a whole lot. Now, I don't think it's all Davis Mills' fault. I don't think it's all Lovie Smith's fault, but there's a lot wrong in Houston, and it's going to take him at least a year, probably 2, before they're really in contention to make any noise in the playoffs. So overall, to me, I have the Houston Texans right now as the worst team in the NFL. We're going to move on to the top 10 teams next, but just before that, there are some teams who are knocking on the door in the bottom 5. We're talking the New Orleans Saints. We're talking the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields running the ball pretty well, but here's the thing. He's their quarterback. He ain't throwing it too good. Jacksonville, also not far from the bottom 3, as well as the LA Rams. And Cooper Kupp likely to be out for many weeks with a high ankle sprain, so it's not looking good for the defending champs. Now coming up, we're going to have the top 10 teams. At number 10, we're going to have the Dallas Cowboys. They're definitely moving down some spots from last week. That was a really bad loss to the Green Bay Packers. Of course, it went to overtime. The score was very close. It was a field goal that ultimately separated them. But what was really disheartening from the Cowboys' perspective is being up 14 points in the fourth quarter to a team that had lost 5 games in a row, couldn't really do anything right. Dak Prescott looked really shaky in crunch time, and this is one of those things that Mike McCarthy-led teams tend to struggle in the clutch. So we'll see how it goes with the Cowboys moving forward. I still believe in their defense, despite really playing awful down the stretch. Christian Watson, the rookie for the Packers, 3 touchdowns. They didn't really have an answer for him, and I saw the Green Bay Packers were able to move the ball on the ground pretty effectively too. Now the Cowboys need to bounce back. That defense will need a big redemption game next week. Now moving on to number 9, and we're going to have the New York Jets. They're at 6-3 on the season, and to me, look, they have a big test this coming Sunday versus the division rival, the New England Patriots. Now look, you could obviously argue, and I think you'd be right, saying that the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills are a better team, but the Patriots have just owned the Jets for seemingly decades, but especially this Robert Saleh-led Jets, the Patriots have just demolished them every which way. Zach Wilson's going to need to step up big time on Sunday to get a win against the Patriots and to really just overcome the New England Patriots, who've just been their Achilles heel, if you will, although the Jets have a lot of teams who are their Achilles heel. So Jets still, I think they're playing really good football. Defense has played well. They're running the ball pretty well too. Zach Wilson just needs to step up if the Jets want to step up more in the power rankings. Now, moving on to number 8, and it's going to be the Tennessee Titans. Now, the Titans just keep on winning. So you might ask yourself, why are they moving down in the power rankings? Well, honestly, a lot of it was a number of teams this weekend just really, really impressed me more than the Tennessee Titans. Clearly, look, we know the Titans are going to rely on their run game. Their defense played well, but against the Broncos, who are really, really struggling this season, not a super impressive win. They were down for a lot of the game too. Tennessee, of course, able to come back, get a 17-10 win. But to me, Tannehill, the quarterback situation, the receivers are going to need to step up. Look, if they really want to compete, seriously in the playoffs with the likes of the Chiefs and the Bills and the Dolphins and these other teams, then they're going to need to be able to throw the ball, because if teams start shutting down the run, they can't just be completely one-dimensional. Although I do believe, look, the Titans, they're number 8 in my ranking, so I believe they're still a very, very good team. Now, at number 7, it's going to be the Buffalo Bills, and this is easily the lowest that I've had them in my power rankings. They're 6-3. They just lost a crazy home game against the Minnesota Vikings, and this loss was just crazy. It was really, really on. You hate to say it, but it was on Josh Allen. 2 really bad interceptions, really bad fumble as well on that quarterback sneak when they're at their own 1-yard line, and it led to a fumble touchdown. So Josh Allen, 6 interceptions in the last 3 games. Not good enough. Now, look, I still believe Buffalo are a very good team. Defense is very solid. They should be getting some of their guys back soon, hopefully for their sake. Getting Kyer Elam, getting Tre'Davious White will be key number 1. But just Josh Allen's, he's been turning the ball over and in the red zone a lot lately. He's turned the ball over in the red zone more in the last 3 games than he did in his entire career before that. So really troubling times there, but still I do believe that the Bills for sure should be playoff bound, and they're really still playing decent football and against a really pretty good Minnesota Vikings team as well. So that factor is not to be forgotten about. Now let's move on to number 6, and we're going to have the Baltimore Ravens. Look, they've won a number of games in a row, 3 in a row. Lamar Jackson's really playing at a high level, not turning the ball over, able to make plays when he needs to. I think the defense has really stepped up lately as well. Getting a guy like Roquan Smith, I think that's really going to be galvanizing for the team. It's really going to elevate their game, and they should also have players coming back from injury soon too. Big thing is, look, if they can get Mark Andrews back at wide receiver, that will help them out tremendously. But just the receiver position is what, worries me a little bit with the Baltimore Ravens. Once they go up against those elite defenses, they might find it a little bit more difficult to move the ball. But as of now, they're winning games, playing really good football, and when you look at their losses, when we talked about this last week, they were all by about 3 points or 4 points, so they very well could be undefeated. But right now, 6-3 on the season and top of the AFC North. Next up, we're going to move to my top 5 in the power rankings coming up for Week 11. At number 5, we're going to have the New York Giants at 7-2 on the year. And the Giants are just finding ways to win games. Not always the prettiest way. They're not blowing teams out, but they just keep on winning. And what's really impressed me a lot is Daniel Jones has played solid football, but Saquon Barkley has really just rediscovered himself. He's rejuvenated this season, playing really, really well. You could put him in the argument for an offensive MVP this year. That's how well Saquon has played. The defense has been pretty solid too. Now, I'd like to see them make a little bit more plays, but overall, I think the defense has played well enough, and clearly it has, to put them in situations to win the game. And Brian Daboll's doing a fantastic job with the New York Giants. Hard to ignore what they're doing in a very, very tough NFC East, and there's going to be some tough division games coming up as well for them. But right now, the Giants flying pretty high at 7-2, and they're looking good. Now, at number 4, and this team takes a big leap this week, and that's going to be the Miami Dolphins, 7-3 on the year. Tua Tagovailoa is playing at an MVP level. He might be playing the best quarterback in the NFL right now. He's probably the number 1 guy. Him, Mahomes, you could maybe argue a couple of guys, but Tua's been fantastic. The offense, getting Jeff Wilson Jr. from the 49ers, he's been nothing short of great so far with the Dolphins. That Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr., that they're playing really well running the ball. Tua's throwing the ball. Tyreek Hill, got Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, so many weapons offensively. Here's the key. The defense needs to keep getting better. They gave up about, 17, 20 points to the Cleveland Browns. Not awful by any means, but could be a little bit better. I think getting Bradley Chubb long-term through the rest of this year is really going to help them out too. Dolphins are a team now that they've really, really established themselves as an elite team, especially if Tua can stay healthy. To me, they're the number 2 team in the AFC conference. Now, moving on to our top 3, and number 3 is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. They just lost tonight to the Washington Commanders. Look, it wasn't pretty all night long. The Commanders were able to control the clock, able to really just, limit Philadelphia's opportunities. Now, Philadelphia in the game, and watching it just finish up a little while ago, a lot of self-inflicted wounds, especially towards the end. When you talk about fumbles with Dallas Goedert and Quez Watkins, and, there's really ridiculous Brandon Graham roughing the passer penalty when he didn't have to do that at all. Overall, though, Philadelphia still a very, very talented team. They got star players across the roster. They've been able to add guys, even in this season, adding, a guy like Robert Quinn, big time move. I think the Eagles are going to be just fine. Sometimes it can always be tricky, those division games. And look, let's not diminish Washington either. They're no slouch. They almost beat the Minnesota Vikings just a week ago. So impressive stuff there from Washington to get a big win against division rivals Philadelphia Eagles for their first loss of the season. Now, coming in at number 2, it's going to be the Minnesota Vikings at 8-1, sharing the same record as the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, impressive win. What a big time win against Buffalo. Resiliency is really the word that comes to mind when it comes to the Minnesota Vikings. Able to get interceptions, able to make plays when they needed to. Here's the one thing that's concerning for me. They got great weapons. Their defense is playing pretty darn well. It's Kirk Cousins, man. It's Kirk Cousins. Look, he had one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen by a quarterback, where it looked like he was absolutely targeting the defender, and he had 2 receivers about 5 or 6 yards either side of the defender. Didn't even look like he was going. He looked like he was just shooting right for the defender. He's really shaky. In the big games, I really worry about Kirk Cousins. Here's the thing. They've been able to overcome it, making key plays in the key moments, especially against the Buffalo Bills. The Vikings are a good team. The question is, Kirk Cousins will need to be a lot better if they want to be a great team. Now, coming in at number 1, and I don't think it's going to be any surprise to anyone, and that's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs, moving to 7-2 on the year with a very comfortable win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mahomes 4 touchdowns on the day, did have an interception, but overall, this offense is unstoppable, essentially. Now, they did potentially lose Juju Smith-Schuster for a while on that crazy hit. Hopefully he's okay. But the Kansas City offense is just so incredibly difficult to defend. Multiple weapons at running back, of course, wide receiver, best tight end in football, best quarterback in football. Hard to stop that. Defensively, they've been able to step up a little bit too. Getting guys back like Trent McDuffie, first round pick rookie. I think that's really going to help out their defense. And if they can really just stay healthy, they have good players. And here's the thing too, let's not forget, Chris Jones is playing at an all-time elite level in the NFL. He's just completely wrecking games. So to me, Kansas City is going to be number 1 in my power rankings. Let me know, guys, your thoughts in the comments below. I'd really love to hear your thoughts. And honestly, the power rankings discussions are usually my favorite ones to do, just because it really just comes down to opinion. So just my opinion, this is my opinion here. I try to back it up with a little bit of facts, but a lot of it comes from what I see on Sundays, Mondays, and Thursdays in the NFL. So thank you very much, guys, for checking out the video. If you enjoy the content, do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. You guys know I do videos throughout the week, and of course, I love to live stream games. That's going to be a little bit slower for the next couple of weeks because I'll be traveling, but at the end of the day, I really appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Yesterday was a really, really fun day and topped it off with a 49ers win. But for this video, I'm going to leave it here, guys. And there's 2 things you know I'm going to say. The butt counts. I'm going to catch you guys on the flip side.